Alright, so welcome back to our PropertyLimBrothers new projects review series. This time, as promised, we're going to talk about Sengkang Grand Residences, and why don't we head straight into it? Let's go!
Wealth management and
monthly installment at 1.88 per house
to select the right property to buy.
1 km. It's 1 km.
Yeah, let me check.
So the previous round, we actually talked about integrated developments. We also have reviewed Woodleigh Residences as well in our previous episode called Don't Buy Woodleigh Residences Before You Watch That Video. This time around, we're going to talk about Sengkang Grand Residences, which was launched a couple of weeks back. So the show flat is actually located right beside Sengkang MRT station, beside the mall called Campus 1. If you have been there before, you'll notice that this show flat is actually done very beautifully. So just to give you a bit of quick facts about Sengkang Grand Residences. So this TOP date is going to be estimated in year 2023, which is about 4 years from today. So the number of residential units here comprises of 680 units spread over 9 blocks and is sitting on top of a 3-story mall with a basement access right straight into Buangkok MRT station. So if we bring out the location map, you'll notice that this is actually located right beside the Buangkok MRT station, which before this construction was built is actually like a green plot of land. There's nothing there, there's just like an open car park. So Buangkok is actually a town which is located right between Hougang MRT station and Sengkang MRT station. It is actually an extension of Sengkang and is called the Compassville region. So the township is actually quite nicely built because when you come out from the Buangkok MRT station, there are already existing retail shops and F&B options right across level 1 that is right beside this HDB blocks called the HDB Espela block. Opposite this plot at Sengkang Grand is Esperina Residences. There's also Jewel at Buangkok, and there's one slightly older development called the Quartz as well. So if you're familiar with that area, this is going to be like the big thing right on top of the Buangkok MRT station, and it's going to serve the needs of most Buangkok residents. So let's talk about the mall itself. So this is jointly developed by CDL and CapitaLand. As most Singaporeans are aware, even foreigners, CDL is one of the major developers in Singapore. They have a lot of established developments in terms of residential projects, and of course CapitaLand is one of the giants for a lot of retail malls in Singapore as well. So malls like Bugis Junction, the recent revamped Funan, and of course Orchard Ion, all these malls actually are run, managed and owned by CapitaLand. So in terms of the mall configuration, a lot of people have confidence on how this is going to turn out with their experience in retail mall operations and architecture. I think those are experience plus probably a lot of anchor tenants are going to come in as well the moment that this mall TOP. So let's have a look at the spread itself. So in terms of the 3-story mall, in the basement there's going to be a supermarket. On level 1, you have a direct link to the Buangkok MRT station, and there's going to be a community plaza as well. Hawker center is on level 2. There's going to be a community club plus childcare center as well on level 2. There are car parks on level 3, and is also going to be integrated with the bus interchange. Alright, so if you're going to head home, you will need to go to level 4, which is your facility zone, and the residential units will start from level 4 all the way to level 13. Some of the blocks are shorter blocks because there's actually a slight elevation in terms of the facilities itself on level 4. So some of the blocks are actually from level 4 to 11, some is from 4 to 13, comprising of 1 bed, 2, 3, up to 4 bedders. Let's bring out the site plan so that you can have a look at the spread of the configuration of the unit. So sometimes when we look at developments, we want to look at what is the main kind of configuration layout in that particular development, because that will actually reflect what bedroom types is going to be the popular one when it TOPs. If you have a look at the spread in terms of the unit type, the 1 bedroom plus study has a total of 131 units. So there's not even a 1 bedder, they are just going straight to the 1 plus study. 2 bedders, the main bulk of it will belong to the 2 bedroom types, which is a 2 bed, 1 bath, and is actually in the range of about 600 over square feet. Plus the next type that is going to be the main bulk of the 2 bedders are the 2 bed premium plus study. Later we'll go straight into the layout plans and then you can compare as well. The 3 bedrooms has about 148 units, followed by 3 bedroom premium and premium flexi, and 4 bedroom, which is about 50 units per type. If you look at it, the main bulk of the units are actually the 1 beds, 2 bed, 2 plus premium, plus the normal 3 bedroom model without the utility room. Now, we have visited the show flat. We think that this site plan is beautifully done. Let me share with you why. So a few key considerations is whenever residents buy into integrated developments, because of the fact that there's a mall downstairs and there's integration with the bus interchange, it's very important that you want to know know where are all these different kinds of amenities being positioned at. I think that CapitaLand is really great in the way that they design this whole mall because they tuck everything into one corner. Why do I say that? Basically, the bus interchange is on the very right side of the whole site plan. The entrance of the buses coming in and out, sometimes it can cause some road traffic noise because when buses turn in, the engines are usually a little bit louder. So it definitely will sort of create a little bit of traffic noise in a sense. So they actually park it right at the corner of the site plan. And in that corner itself, they also park the cooling towers there. When there's a mall, there will definitely be a cooling tower. The cooling tower is to expel ventilation from the mall itself. The generator is also parked right at one corner. The good thing is that it would then be very easy for residents to choose your stack layout because in terms of your facing, you have more choices. The cooling tower is not spread like at different portions of the site plan. So if you're very clear, you do not want to stay near to the cooling tower, you just buy the rest of the block. I think in terms of selection is great because you then have a lot more choices. Now in terms of blocks and facings, it's very clear cut. If you have a better facing, definitely the pricing will be more. If you have a facing that's facing towards the road, facing towards the HDB flat, facing nearer to the cooling tower or towards the entrance of the bus interchange, naturally the pricing will be slightly more attractive. That's for certain because facings has different pricing. So of course, if you face towards the pool, you get a quieter facing away from the road. But of course, some people have different perceptions. They say that hey, if I face the pool, there's kids swimming over the weekend and stuff like that, it'll be a bit noisy and stuff. But of course, you do not get the road noise and you get the pool view instead of a view facing the HDB flat. So pricing, there will be differences. That is for sure for all developments. But we think that this time round, the developer has done the blocks orientation very well, giving buyers a lot of different choices depending on where they want to face. So if you look at the 9 block, is in a very ununiform fashion, all right? Usually developers, they might try to build in a very uniform fashion, but this time around, they have actually did it in a very staggered format. Thus, it enables every stack to have a more open, ventilated view. Whichever stack that you choose, more or less, it does not face the other block directly or very, very closely. You have a more open kind of view that interacts with the entire facility zone as well. So this is one thing that we think is done well. Let's dive in a little bit more to the stack itself, and of course, how was the performance on the first day of launch. Right now, of the 680 units, about 200 over units has already been sold, and surprisingly, on the first week of launch, the most popular units that has been sold are actually the 1 bed plus study, the 2 beds, and of course, the 2 beds plus study. So let's have a look at what has already been sold, alright? At this point in time, 1 plus study out of 131 units, there's only 40 left. 91 units has been sold, and of course, in terms of the 2 bedders, total there is 95 units, 64 has already been sold. These are all the 2 bed 1 bath units. The next would then be the 2 beds premium plus study out of 136, 37 has already been sold. So it turns out that actually the smaller units has become one of the very popular choices with buyers and investors for Sengkang Grand. In terms of the 3 beds unit out of 148, about 14 has been sold so far. So let's dive into the floor plan layout. This time around, there's no 1 bedder. If you want to get a 1 bedroom, it's definitely a 1 plus study, and that is at 474 square feet. There's not much of a size difference. It's either you get the 474, the very standard size. If not, it would then be the 495 or the 506 with a little bit of variations here and there. So if you get the very typical 1 plus study kind of layout, 474 square feet, you actually have an extra space in your master room to become your study area. And there's actually one very unique layout for the 1 plus study, which is the 506 square feet, because that will give you a separate study room, which is right beside the entrance area. And this is really a nice size study room at 506 square feet. So for an extra footage of about 30 odd square feet, you get a very nice size study room. So what are the prices? Let's have a look at the prices. The 2 different stacks, the one with the study room, which is right outside, it will cost you probably about $60,000 to $70,000 more for the extra 30 over odd square footage in order to have your study room right outside your living area instead of inside the master room itself. So let's have a look at the 2 bedders. For 2 bedders, it's pretty interesting because for the 2 bedders, there's a few variations of layouts. Firstly, there's the dumbbell layout, which is the 2 bed 1 bath, but they made it into like a dumbbell fashion. We think that this layout is great because it saves up your space from the walkway into your bedrooms, and then you compensate by bringing that space out into the living area itself. The only thing that probably we think that is a little bit of wastage that made the 2 bed 1 bath to be like a 624 square feet is probably the aircon latch, because we noticed that the aircon latch space for this layout is a little bit larger. Alright, other than that, I think the rest of the things are fine. Take note that in terms of the master bathroom for the 2 bed 1 bath, there is no ventilation window, so so it will definitely be by a ventilation air fan. The next type of layout, which is the typical 2-bedder, it is the more conventional kind of 2-bed 1-bath layout, but it will then gives you a slightly larger square footage at 6, 7, 8 square feet. So this one has all the bedrooms tucked on one side, and then you have like a mini walkway. There's one bathroom as well. Take note that because of the fact that it's a 2-bed 1-bath, for this type of layout, your master room bathroom is not an ensuite. It is actually more like a common bathroom, which is easily shareable with the other bedroom as well. Whereas for the dumbbell layout, you do get direct access ensuite, and at the same time, you have a Jack and Jill kind of entrance from your living room into the master bathroom itself. Of course, if you were ask me to choose, I think that probably I will go for the one that is the dumbbell layout, because it would then give me flexibility to be in the master room with a direct access to my bathroom. At the same time, my guests from the living room, they can use that bathroom itself with the Jack and Jill layout. Let's head on to the 2-bed plus study ones. Between the 2-bedroom and the 2 plus study, basically you have this extra study space, which is a part of a dining area. So let's head straight to the 2-bed premium plus study. So 2-bed premium plus study is a bit interesting because this is actually a very good size, 764 square feet. Surprisingly, the aircon latch seems to be smaller than the 2-bed 1-bath. You get a lot of square footage in the unit itself. Of course, you have a slightly longer walkway, which allows you to then build your carpentry work at the side wall for storage needs, because there's no storeroom. You get 2 proper bathrooms, and I think in terms of the living room space, is done very well. If you visit the show flat, the 2-bed premium plus study hall is actually quite a good size layout. So let's talk about the 3 beds as well. There's 2 different kind of layouts. When we talk about 3-bedroom nowadays, it is the 3-bed compact model, meaning the 3 rooms without a store, without a utility room. Nowadays, there's no more requirements for the home shelter to be in the unit. So usually the home shelter is right outside at the common lift lobby. So let's have a look at the 3 beds C1 layout. So C1 layout, basically you have a shorter foyer compared to the C2 layout. So the C2 gives you a slightly more elongated entrance foyer. So if you think that you want a little bit more square footage inside your dining and your living space, then probably you might want to go for the C1 layout, because the C1 layout has, I think, a right size kind of foyer entrance area that allows you to build an L-shaped shoe cabinet. As for the C2 layout, it is actually for people who wants to build one entire stretch of carpentry space all the way from an entrance straight into your dining space. Now, in terms of the 3-bed premium, there's a total of about 56 units. So the key difference is that this 3-bed premium is at 1023 square feet. The 3-bedroom compact is at about 936 square feet. So this extra square footage of about 90 odd square footage gives you the extra utility room. You can use it as a helper's room. It has a ventilation window. You can use it as a storeroom as well. You have a nice proper enclosed kitchen, and of course at the same time, if you need that storeroom or you need that utility room, then probably you might want to head for this kind of layout itself. The key difference between this and this stack, which is stack 64, we think that this layout is actually pretty interesting because you have an extra storeroom right behind your entrance. So if we blow out the floor plan, you will notice that on top of the utility room, you still have one more extra storage room. I think that's going to be extremely useful. So that's for an extra square footage of about probably 20 square feet at 1055, but there's only one stack available. So the next layout would then be the slightly smaller size 1012 square feet, which I think probably might be a little bit more popular as well, because in terms of price tag, it's actually slightly lower than the 3-bed premium, but this is called the 3-bed premium plus flexi 1012 square feet. The key difference is that your utility room now becomes a very flexible space. You can use it as a storage room, or you can also use it as like an open study, or you can use it as a walkway passage with storage, carpentry, or maybe like a mini kind of meditation room as well. So if you notice, what happens is that they have made the floor plan to be openly accessible either from your dining space walkway or from your kitchen yard area. So that 2 linkage point is actually linked. So surprisingly, the layout is now at 1012 square feet, which is slightly smaller than the premium one. So in terms of the price tag, is actually slightly lower in terms of the overall price quantum. So there's a total of about 55 units for the 3-bedroom flexi model, and then the last category would then be your 4-bedroom with a flexi utility room as well. So that sums up the whole floor plan section. We hope that you have a good glimpse of what the floor plan looks like. So let's head back and talk a little bit more about the orientation as well. So if you were to bring out the site plan, you'll notice that there's 3 main general facings. One facing on the left hand side towards Compassville Bowl. Right opposite will be the 2 private developments, which is Woodleigh Residences. You also have Jewel at Buangkok Buangkok, and then diagonally across you have the quads as well. Now if you face towards the Sengkang Central Road, opposite will be the row of shops and F&B plus the HDB flats which is flanking at the back. On the right hand side will then be Palmview Primary School, and it will also be Insular Park, which has the whole cluster of block 280 over series just right behind the park. So it really depends on what kind of facing that you would like to see when you look out from your balcony. So based on price comparison and the stack analysis, we have noticed that facings that are facing towards the internal part of the facility zone, they command a more premium price compared to the stacks that's actually facing towards the outward portion. Whether you're facing towards the Sengkang Central Road, Compassville Bow Road, or facing towards the primary school, you get a lesser quantum in terms of the overall pricing and the overall per square foot. There's also two major areas here if we zoom in. So at number 19 is actually the main lap pool. If you're directly facing towards that portion, the price tag will be slightly higher. There's also another portion which is allocated by B on the site plan. So B is actually this very interesting skylight of the whole Sengkang Grand Mall. So from here there's like a glass portion, and of course if you're facing internally towards this segment, then your price tag will be slightly higher. We're not sure whether will the sunlight reflect directly from the skylight to your balcony, but if it does, then probably you can just use your screen from your balcony, because at Sengkang Grand Residences you're actually allowed to install the balcony screens that also acts like a louver kind of stuff that you can just glide along the whole balcony if you want a little bit more privacy or you want to shed off the sunlight and stuff like that. Alright, so let's have a look at the entire Sengkang area. So if you're looking for a private property development to stay in, or probably you're already in Sengkang in one of the HDB estates and you want to upgrade to a private property, what are some of the key choices that is available for Sengkang residents? So there's actually three major areas. Then the first major area is actually around the Sengkang MRT station, which is called Campus Heights, which is just right beside the MRT station. So Campus Heights was actually one of the first few developments to pop out in Sengkang area. It's also a very convenient project because it's just right beside Campus 1. It has direct linkage to the mall itself. So we've actually populated the pricing right beside this map itself, so you can have a gauge on what are the quantum prices of the 3 beds and the 2 beds around here, and the PSF as well, so you can just see right from the map over here. There's also two newer projects called La Fiesta and the Luxury, which is right across the MRT station. Now if you head leftwards, you will get to see that there's a couple of developments which is in the Fernville area. For example, like H2O Residences, there's River Tree Residences, there's River Bank at Fernville as well, and of course one of the very huge developments is called High Park Residences. In future, Large Acres is going to hit its MOP very soon. There's one more EC which is called Tupari, which is also going to hit its MOP very soon. So that is the entire Fernville vicinity, and along the entire Buangkok Drive would then be the Riverville Park Green, Osville Residences, Riversound Residences, and now heading back to Buangkok area, it would then be Esperina, Jewel, and the Quads. So for you to have a gauge of the resale versus the new one, head out and see the map, because we have populated the pricing in terms of overall quantum price of 2 beds and 3 beds plus the per square foot. So if you were to look at Sengkang Grand Residences, they bidded the land for about $900 over per square foot. Their break-even price is probably about $1,500 per square foot. So the launch price is then at around the range of about $1,700 to probably $1,900 per square foot for the smaller units, and the main bulk of the larger units is at about $1,700 over per square foot. So in terms of this pricing wise, I think because of the fact that the land bid is already at one price, the break-even is at one price, that's how usually developers will price their properties during a new launch. So if you really want to have a brand new development for your family to stay in, or you want to buy and invest, naturally, because new properties came from land bids or came from en bloc, and because of the whole construction phase itself, the price tag is naturally higher than the resale counterparts, and that has been the trend in Singapore for many years. Alright, so just to sum up for you, we have looked at the location in terms of the pricing comparison of the resale versus this new one at Sengkang Grand. We've dived into the floor plans itself, done into the site plan, and of course we've given you a brief fact about this entire new development itself. So we hope that you enjoyed this session with PropertyLimBrothers on our new project review series, and I hope to see you on the next one. Cheers! Alright, so for more information on investing in new developments, do head out to our website at PropertyLimBrothers.com, and as well as our YouTube channel under Investor Series, and we will see you soon.